advent of these large AI models allows a greater range of flexibility and generality within a particular task, and means that the input can be a lot less structured and the output can be a lot more controlled. So there's, I think, real advantage in the kind of approaches we see now to be able to tackle problems that just couldn't be tackled before. So there's a lot of really exciting technologies at the moment around both artificial intelligence and robotics. I think for robotics, one of the most exciting things for me is that I think autonomy in robotics is becoming closer to being business as usual. So these are robots that can operate for themselves without direct human intervention, using AI on board to make decisions. These are happening in very limited scope, but are typically used for things like logistics, which is quite common now, increasingly for inspection, so having quadruped robots or drones automatically flying around sites, looking for things that have changed, looking for things that might require further inspection from humans. So on a robotics perspective, that kind of autonomy is very, very interesting. I think further out, there's a huge amount of excitement about humanoids. I think if I was looking to bring robotics into my business right now, I wouldn't be looking at humanoids unless I really wanted to, I think, take some risks. But within the next, 5-10 years, there may be some use cases for humanoids. And I think if you look beyond that to the broader AI scope, there's just huge excitement around foundation models. So large language models, large vision and language models, things that effectively compress all of the knowledge of the internet or of specialized data sets into something that you can query very quickly. And people in robotics are using that to understand the scenes around robots so they can interact with the world or humans better, or just to give robots more general capabilities to act in a otherwise sort of unstructured environment. Perhaps the biggest con is that we don't, probably we don't know how to use AI very well. We don't really understand some of the legal aspects, things like copyright. So there is quite a risk in introducing this into your workflows. Honestly, I think one of the biggest scary things for me is the energy requirements right now. So anyone using AI is really contributing to kind of the climate crisis. I mean, we all do it. We all use a whole bunch of electronics, but the kind of training and inference energy costs of AI is something that people tend to overlook. So I think when you're looking at your kind of carbon footprint as an industry, I'm curious to know how AI is incorporated into that. But I think people are getting good at dealing with what are sort of some of the more widely known downsides of AI, about the kind of hallucinations of the unpredictability. So there's lots of people who look at kind of how do you focus the use of AI, particularly the kind of language models, in particular ways, and constrain their output to kind of, let's say, reasonably predictable areas. And I think that's where those kind of uses, when you think about chatbots, when you think about data retrieval, when you think about prototyping, visual designs, code, documents, that's the real win. So previously, a lot of these tasks were completely, well, not impossible to automate, but very difficult to automate. And the kind of AI we're seeing at the moment allows us to automate a broader range of tasks. For example, querying large unstructured documents, interacting with customers on kind of, let's say, very specific topics. So we can do a range of tasks, and we can also do them in a much more general form. So if you think back to the automation that we might have had 5 or 10 years ago in terms of chatbots, in terms of scripting of apps, these things would have been very, and a lot still are, very rigid, very structured. You can only interact with the system in a particular way. You can only control its output in a very particular way, because those are the ways that humans have decided that should work. But the advent of these large AI models allows a greater range of flexibility and generality within a particular task, and means that the input can be a lot less structured and the output can be a lot more controlled. So there's, I think, real advantage in the kind of approaches we see now to be able to tackle problems that just couldn't be tackled before. But maybe the other downside is we shouldn't get too carried away. These are all still kind of single shot processes typically. It might be a single dialogue which has multiple steps, or a single image generation, but there's not a lot of systems that can actually more autonomously complete a series of separate tasks to achieve a goal. So if you think like booking a holiday or arranging a delivery, these things are more than just a single step or a single dialogue. You have to have multiple independent parts that are coordinated. I think that's one of the areas where current AI systems are lacking, that kind of planning and coordination capability across multiple domains.